Do you see the picture? It is the most precious.
Yeah, I have other things I need to look at the moment.
Hey, Jeffrey.
We're going on the air.
Good evening, and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we're live from Studio Vanguard, and we are linked in with the following repeaters.
Oh, that's my part. McDonough, Flagship, Noonan, Jersey, Rome, Dallas, Lula, Watkinsville, Columbus, Zebulon, Ocala, Florida, White Oak Mountain, Cades Cove, Fort Mountain, Lookout Mountain, Chattanooga, Georgetown, Ottawa, and it looks like we have an internet or some kind of outage at the Toccoa site, and we are aware of that. We're looking into it.
Are we looking into it now?
Well, I'm trying.
Oh, all right. We can multitask. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Tonight, our RF coverage is a pretty big deal. This net takes place every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. I'd like to thank everyone who has made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
I am WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63, and my name is Mike.
Who's that pretty lady next to you?
Oh. This is WQIR 514, Atlanta 947. My name's Julie.
And Atlanta 750, WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
Oh,
And
WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. This is Kate.
On the net, you can talk about your... Oh, we already talked about that. On the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to hear. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by your name or tactical unit number. The FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and sign out of the net. What is our topic this week?
Online tools.
Online tools. I think that was Scott Vaughn, Atlanta 261, that suggested that. I think that's a great idea. All right, and so let's see if there's any news that we need to be aware of. Kate?
Let's reset, and Kate can take it away.
Good evening. This is Atlanta 751, Kate from high atop Mount Waleski, live in Studio C with this week's Catch Up with Kate, the latest NGGMRS sauce. GMRS news we can all relish. The annual Smith Family... Let me try that again. The annual Smith Family North Georgia GMRS barbecue gathering at LL Farm will be held on Saturday, April 20th. Gates open at 10 a.m. So please do not plan on arriving early. The road is small and there is no place to park to wait for the gates to be opened. So it is imperative that you arrive after 10 a.m. We have reached our limit of 300 for RSVPs. Anyone who has made a reservation and cannot attend for any reason should notify in an email to NGGMRS@gmail.com and indicate who from your party will be attending and who will not. We would like an accurate list name so that tags can be made. Also, for those on the waiting list, they can then be contacted and invited to attend if you or someone from your party cannot attend. The Skywarn Net will be Tuesday evening at 7. Was I supposed to call on CV?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's call, let's see, Gainesville 285. CV, Smith, are you out there?
Net Control, this is Gainesville 285. Appreciate you giving me a minute right here. First of all, a correction. We do have a hard cap limit of 300 people on this property, including children. They're people too. But we're not there yet. we're at 280 people. So we're not ready to begin a waiting list yet. We're at 280. We have 20 more spots. Now, when we get to 300, there is an email prepared, ready to go out, notifying everybody that we're at 300. That email has not been sent yet because we're not at 300. But beyond that, and let me break for just a second. Beyond that point, if anyone desires to come, and we have 5 more weeks to go before the barbecue, you can send in a request for a reservation. We'll put you on a waiting list, and then we're going to address things in the order in which they came in. So, additionally, very important, let me break. If anyone who has reserved one of the 300 spots finds out that somebody in your party is going to be unable to attend, we would very much appreciate sending an email to NGGMRS events@gmail.com, the same email address you RSVP to, and let us know that there's a correction in the number, so we can allow people on a waiting list to take a spot. So keep up with your email. We've had some issues with requesting information from people who have not responded back to us, and we're having to spend time dealing with that. But anyway, look forward to the barbecue and appreciate it, Net Control. Again, we're not at 300 yet. We're at 280.
Okay, thank you very much, Gainesville 285CV, for clearing that up. And if you are planning on attending, get those RSVPs in before we hit the 300 mark. We are just shy, so looking forward to that party. The next SkyWarNet will be Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. The subject will be part 2 of Doppler radar. Did you know that you can't spell radar backwards? Well, that's correct, Justin. I believe that this is a palindrome. It's spelled correctly forwards and backwards. So thank you for that. These are training nets, so please check in and be prepared to participate. Please have your computer handy so you can follow along during this net. More information and training materials can be found at noaa.gov/jetstream. Also tune in on March 26th for a mock training event. More info to come, so stay tuned. SkyWarn training nets are for the Chattanooga region only. If you have an interest in SkyWarn and are not located in the Chattanooga area, you can find a local SkyWarn group near you. And again, the SkyWarn nets are held on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for the northern segment of North Georgia GMRS network. Also in Chattanooga, the Chattanooga Lunch Bunch will meet on Saturday, March 23rd at Champy's East Ridge, located at 6515 Ringgold Road. Reach out to Ronnie Chat69 for more information about the lunch gathering or SkyWarn training classes. Let me break. The Knoxville Brunch Bunch will meet on April 6th at Cracker Barrel, located at 716 Campbell Station Road at 11 a.m. This is an open invitation, so anyone in the North Georgia GMRS family is always welcome, along with anyone who's looking to join the North Georgia GMRS family. For more information on this meeting, please contact Eric, Cades Cove 80. The next McDonough breakfast will be Saturday, March 30th at 9:30, still at a secret location. So for more information and details, we ask that you please email Bruce McDonough39 at WRNX338 @gmail.com. That's Whiskey Robin Nancy X-ray 338 @gmail.com. Let me break. We had a great time at the new West Side Lunch Bunch. Thank you to Dallas 20214546 and 47 for hosting the West Side Luncheon. This lunch will take place on the second Saturday of every month. The first get-together was a lot of fun, and all are welcome to attend this luncheon at Taco Mac in Marietta. The address is 2650 Dallas Highway, Suite 110 in Marietta. For anyone who is interested in attending, please be sure to RSVP with an email to rabbithole@nggmrs.org. In the email, be sure to mention rabbit wings. I don't know where you come up with this stuff, Justin. I'm sorry, everyone. This allows the West Side Lunch Group to contact the restaurant to ensure that there is plenty of seating for all who would like to attend. The North Georgia GMRS KidsNet airs the second Saturday evening each month at 7 p.m. The KidsNet is for family members of North Georgia GMRS network members or licensed guests. I'd like to thank all the parents who make the effort to engage their children in the magic of radio. This net is for youth only, 18 and under. However, parental guidance and coaching is allowed and expected. And be sure to tune in for the Friday at 9 Simplex Challenge. Even if you're out of range of the ball ground repeater, you should engage in the Simplex exercise and find out what your Simplex coverage is and who your Simplex neighbors are. In the event of a real disaster, this could be vital information, and it's another fun way to engage in radio. If you have any questions, suggestions, or spicy announcements for us to catch up on, send me a note at kate@nggmrs.org. We are North Georgia GMRS Network. This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. My name is Kate, and now it's time for Julie's Tips. What do you have for us this week, Miss Julie?
Well, thank you for that, Kate. Thank you for that, Kate. Actually, this evening, we are not going to be doing Julie's tips and operating procedure segment. We did have a script all lined up for this evening, but we've decided to go a different route altogether. Some of our members and North Georgia GMRS Facebook friends may already be aware, but for those of you who are not, we wanted to take the time to send our condolences to Gary Beckstead and his wife Diana. Jake, their beloved four-legged companion and faithful friend of 13 and a half years, has passed. He was such a happy, curious fellow and always right by Gary's side, wanting to be involved in whatever Gary was doing. He was with Gary every step of the way with building this network and is a true North Georgia GMRS icon. I fell in love with Jake the day I met him, and he has always been a gracious host to our dog Penny whenever we would visit. I can honestly say he was loved by all who met him, and he has left his paw prints in our hearts and on this network forever. This is WQIR 514, Atlanta 947, Julie, and I'm clear.
Thank you for those announcements, Kate, and all of that information. It's kind of a lot to take in, but there's a lot going on. There's gatherings all across the network, and it seems like there's more and more all the time. So thanks for keeping us caught up on all of that information. And thanks, too, for the correction with the barbecue, the Smith Family BBQ. I thought that we were at 300, but it sounds like there's an opportunity for just a few more to get their RSVP in. And if you have already made an RSVP and you're aware that members of your party are not going to be able to make it, send an email to CV and let him know. That email is going to go to NGGMRS events at gmail.com, and same email that you used for your RSVP, and just make those corrections. Also, if you haven't provided the names of the members of your party, be sure and send CV an email with that information so that he can have name tags prepared and ready when we arrive. And Julie, thanks for your comments on Julie's tips tonight with regard to Jake. Jake was a wonderful spirit and a very gracious creature, always curious, always welcoming, and always pleasant to be around. So big loss for the North Georgia GMRS family this week. And folks, if you're of a mind to go on Facebook and make a comment with regard to that for Gary. Let me break. All right, so tonight's topic is web tools. So there's quite a few different tools that we can use with GMRS radio, and some of the things that come to mind, for me, and there's a bunch of them out there. I'm not going to be able to name them all, and that's where you come in. So if you have ideas about different web tools that I don't mention, feel free to bring them up when your turn comes around. But I'm thinking of things like my GMRS is probably the most comprehensive list of GMRS repeaters in the country. But there's also another place you can go for a listing of GMRS repeaters, and that would be repeaterbook.com. Repeater Book is nowhere near as comprehensive. In fact, when I looked, I think only one of our repeaters was even listed in the Repeater Book directory. But I think most of our repeaters are on my GMRS. So that seems to be the place where most people find us, is my GMRS. But there's quite a few other places you can go for information related to radio and tools and stuff. Scott had mentioned a website you can use to track the location of the space station. And as an amateur, you might want to track that space station because as it passes overhead, many times there's a repeater on board that you can bounce your call sign off of and make contacts off of the space station. There's a couple of amateur satellites you can do that with too. And you can find those schedules for those overhead passes online. What are some other web tools that we might recommend for our listeners out there? There's the what is that?
Scatacore.
Scatacore is that's a website with a lot of tools. That's there's tools that you can use to find line of sight coverage. There's just a wide range of tools there. Radio Reference is a website that has quite a lot of tools that we might use for radio-related stuff. Radio Reference has listings for radio broadcast facilities all around the world. A lot of amateur radio stuff in Radio Reference, not so much focused on GMRS. But there are also tools, and when it comes down to radio, RF is RF, and we have a little different propagation performance in UHF than most of the amateurs have in HF and VHF. But when it comes down to it, the tools that they use for determining coverage are very applicable to what we do as well. So we can take advantage of a lot of those things out there. And there's lots of stuff out there that I haven't even mentioned, and those are things that we can talk about tonight when it's your turn as we go through the roster. Before we do that, we want to take some additional check-ins. I need a break. So we're going to try this exercise.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah?
We kind of forgot one announcement about the radios.
Well, we did. Yeah, let's talk about the radios.
So Gary has, last I saw, 12 TK8180 Kenwood radios, mobiles, and he has 7 TK8180Hs, which would be the high-powered radios. 45 watts, I believe, an 8180 is.
I believe that's right.
And he also has some programming cables for said radios. His shop will be open Saturday and Sunday starting at noon. Please text or email Gary and set up an appointment and make sure that he has the radio that you're after actually available.
So these are radios that Gary puts on the bench on his service monitor. He checks to be sure that they are properly tuned. You know, a commercial radio, well, any radio, as it ages, it can drift from, its programmed frequency, its center frequencies. We see this a lot on the railroad with many of our radios. And there's certain batches of radios that this is more prominent in. But when you put it on a service monitor, that's an easy thing to see and correct. So you can get the radio tuned back up to within factory specs. And he goes through the radios. He also programs the radios so that all of the repeaters on the North Georgia GMRS network are already programmed in the radio when you get it. So it's kind of plug and play. It's about as plug and play a radio as you're ever going to get. And the coolest part about this is that you can get an 8180 for about half the price that you're going to spend on a whoosh, how do you say that? Whooshy.
Be careful, don't get your...
The whooshy radio, the Midland radio,
I have the price list here. The 8180 standards are going for $220. 8180Hs are going for $320, and the programming cables are $30 each.
So there you go. So if you want a programming cable with one of those radios, you can get that, and the software is easy to come by, and Gary can probably help you with that as well. Bring your laptop or a thumb drive, and you can get set up, I'm sure, with some software for that radio as well. So those are great radios. We've got a pair of those. No, it's not a pair. We've got an 8180 and a 7180 in the rack here in Studio Vanguard. Is that correct?
Sort of, yeah.
Oh, well, maybe it's not correct. I thought that's what we had. The 8180 has proven to be a workhorse. We've got a number of them in service in various applications as link radios and other project radios. The Studio G portable studio rig is similarly outfit with 8180 radios. So that's like I say, they're workhorse radios. These are commercial radios. They're used radios, but these are radios that have been in service for other applications, and they've been retired from that application. But these radios have a lot of life left in them. Let me break. And personally, I love the Kenwood radios. They're just solid as a rock. There's just nothing out there that sounds better. And they just hold up. And the way that we use our radios on this network, we're just touching what their capability is. So they'll last a good long while in service for us as base stations or as mobile radios in our vehicles. So definitely consider grabbing one of these radios while they're available. And it's something to consider also is that these commercial radios are getting harder to come by. We don't see them at the ham fests in volume like we used to. As the radios evolve, especially in the commercial world, and more fleets are converted to DMR and digital radios, these analog radios are being retired. And we're kind of, a lot of those changes have already happened in a lot of fleets. A lot of fleets have already moved into the digital world. So, the latecomers are still out there, and we'll still find a few of them as time goes on, but they're getting harder to find and more expensive when we do find them. So this is a great opportunity to get a rock-solid radio at a smoking hot deal. Send an email to Gary at NGGMRS.org. Or if you have his digits, you can send him a text. But the best way to contact him is by way of email. And he can send you directions for the Heathkit radio shop, and you can make arrangements to pick your radio up on Saturday.
Or Sunday.
Or Sunday. And yeah, it's always good to stop in and visit for a minute while you're doing that. So definitely give that a shot. All right, we're going to continue on with check-ins, Jeff, unless there's anything else I've forgotten.
I think we're good now.
All right. So at this time, we're going to take Zello check-ins. Now, listen carefully, because when we take Zello check-ins, it can be challenging. When you hit the PTT on the Zello app, sometimes your thumb doesn't register correctly on the PTT button, and it'll kind of jitter. And then the app comes back, and it gives you a sort of a warning that you've made too many calls with no traffic. Even though that's not the truth, it puts you in a penalty, a timeout box. So when we step on Zello users, it frustrates that process. So when I'm asking for Zello calls, I really don't want any RF calls. If you're using a radio, hold your traffic. I do not want to hear your check-in at this time. This time is reserved for Zello users. If you are a Zello user, please call Net Control now.
This is
Atlanta 557.
This is WRQ G806 Atlanta 557. Please check me in, and by way of relay, Atlanta 558 will be in and out.
Watch the name on that one, Justin. That 558 tech.
Oh, it's Denise.
Okay.
This is WRUH 980 Dallas 60 Tyler and Rockmart. Check me in and out.
This might be the last weekend we can have the back door open for a while, because we're going to be coming into pollen season.
Yes.
It's going to get gross in here.
Yeah. And a long, uncomfortable pause.
Oh, I need to kill that volume.
Oops. You're on there.
I should look that up. Am I good?
Yeah.
All right. Come on.
All right. The long, uncomfortable pause intended to make way for Zello check-ins. Thanks for holding your RF traffic. Let me go ahead and acknowledge what I have. I got a YouTube check-in in here as well. I have Blue Ridge 64, Melissa, checking in by way of YouTube. Thank you for that check-in. Also, we had one slide in sideways. We've got Cades Cove 82, Jenny in Rockwood is in and out. And our Zello check-ins, we heard Atlanta 557 Ed in Kennesaw is in tonight. Also, Atlanta 558 Denise in Kennesaw is in and out. And we heard Dallas 60 Tyler in Rockmart is in and out. Those are the Zello check-ins we have. This time we'll continue with check-ins for any repeater anywhere except the flagship machine. Net Control standing by.
This is WSAP 350 Atlanta 136 John in Covington. Checking in and out.
WRQZ 941 Mark in Rome. I'll be checking in and out. This is Atlanta 145 WSAY 667. This is Stephen Halas checking in and out.
Carried in what?
think he said in and out.
Okay. I didn't catch the tail end.
That's all right. Checking out.
I don't have that one.
No copy, Jersey repeater.
Yeah.
All right, net control will acknowledge Atlanta 136. John in Covington is in and out. Rome 12. Mark in Rome, also in and out. We've got Atlanta 145. Stephen in Marble Hill is in and out. And we had WRQD 950. Donnie is in with us this evening. It was a guest check-in.
That was a YouTube check-in.
Oh, that was a YouTube check-in.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Ah. Okay, so that's what we have at this point. If we didn't acknowledge you, it's because we didn't hear your check-in. But at this time, we're going to continue with check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including the flagship machine. Anyone wishing to check in to tonight's net, call net control now.
This is
403.
This is WRAT 241, Atlanta 403. Bobby at the Vortex in Cleveland, Georgia. I'll be in and out.
WROB 245, Atlanta 849, Pamela in Duluth, and by relay, Atlanta 848, in the back burning, but we're monitoring.
WRMH 246. I'd like to be checked in, checked out if I can.
What was the attack call?
I think it was Atlanta 77.
Let's try 77.
This
Yeah,
is
that's it.
Gainesville 44, WRQV 762. Go in Cleveland, checking in and out.
This is WSAT 592, Dallas 16, checking in and out.
All right, net control is going to go ahead and acknowledge this last round of check-ins. We heard Atlanta 403, Bobby at the Vortex, in and out. Atlanta 849, Pamela in Duluth, in and out, as well as Atlanta 848, Ernest, also in Duluth, in and out. We heard Rome 313J up in Rome is in and out. Atlanta 77 Warner in Tucker is in and out. We had real low audio on your signal there, Warner, but we've got you in here. Gainesville 44 Joe in Cleveland in and out. In Dallas 16 Michael in Dallas also in and out. Those are the check-ins we have. At this time, we're going to go ahead and start things off. We'll kick things into gear, but there will be one round of late check-ins at the end. So if we didn't get you, be sure and come back around at the end, and we'd love to get you in the log. But for now, let's go ahead and continue on with tonight's program. So tonight we're talking about web tools, tools that you might use and for information about GMRS. Of course, last week we talked about the North Georgia GMRS website. And there's a lot of valuable resources right there on the website. There's stuff we didn't talk about. For instance, we didn't really talk about the fact that on our website there's a guide that shows you how to get your GMRS license, kind of a step-by-step tutorial. And I looked at that recently, and it's still really valid. So not much has changed in that front. That is a valuable resource. Someone made mention tonight of... I think it was hamstudy.org is a good tool that we might use for radio purposes. Of course, that's a great tool if you're in pursuit of an amateur license. And that's something we encourage and recommend as you pursue your radio adventures. Consider an amateur license. And when you do become an amateur, be sure and update the roster so that we can keep tabs on what portion of our membership are amateurs, because that's good information, and it helps us to show the amateur community, that we are a force to be reckoned with there as well. A lot of amateurs like to consider themselves premium radio operators, and so are we. So that's just another piece of information we can use. So. What other websites come to mind that we can talk about tonight? You guys have anything off the top of your heads?
Not anything that I don't think we've already listed. We went down the list earlier and still can't think of any additional ones.
And I'm sure there are several out there. And so as we go, if our audience has any, be sure and bring it up. We'd love to include that in the list. So let's move to the top of the roster now, and we'll go to Cades Cove 80, Eric in Rockwood. Eric, what web tools can you think of that we might be able to make use of in GMRS radio, or really for anything?
Well, good evening, Nick Control. This is Cades Cove 80. As far as web tools, I do use the website for the North Georgia GMRS. I use my GMRS quite a bit, quite often actually. If I'm traveling, it's an easy way to find frequencies in the area that I'm going to be in. That's about all I use it for, is to look up frequencies. I use the North Georgia GMRS website to look for announcements, to look for upcoming events, and for frequencies. I love the page where it has all the repeater names. I don't love that timeout timer. I love the page where it has all the repeaters, the frequencies, the output, input, PL tones. That's really useful for me. There's, as new as I am, well, I'm not really brand new, but still consider myself new. I'm still learning all of this. I just now, 2 weeks ago, got a computer. Let me break. So hopefully, in the near future, I'll be able to, get the software and the programming cables to start programming my own radio. do have a portable radio that I can program off of my cell phone. That's about it, guys. I mean, like I say, I'm kind of new and still learning, and I've got great teachers out there, so I thank all of you, Justin, Jeff, Ronnie, David, all the regular guys that I talk to. It's been real helpful. Let me break. So I encourage anyone that is new to use the resources with the North Georgia GMRS webpage, my GMRS. I'm not really into ham. I know you guys say it's recommended. If it ever comes mandatory, I'm just going to have a bunch of radios for sale because I have no desire whatsoever to become a ham operator. That's just my personal experience. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Net Control, and have a great night, guys. I will be monitoring.
Yes, and, I hear what you're saying, and I do appreciate your comments about the North Georgia GMRS website, and the repeater page I think is a valuable resource because if you don't have all the machines programmed into your radio already, and you know that you're going to be traveling around the network, that's a great tool, so you can go ahead and get those other repeaters programmed in. But I recommend while you're building a code plug for your radio, just pull that sheet up and have it on your computer, and you can copy paste right off of that spreadsheet right into your code plug, and just put the whole roster of North Georgia GMRS repeaters in there, and even put the ball ground repeater in there because it's not linked, but come Jeep Fest time, if you find yourself in Pickens County, you might want to grab the ball ground repeater.
Or on Friday nights at 9.
Even the Friday nights, that's right. There's they gather there and they talk about the simplex operations, kind of organize what they're going to do, and then they go off and play simplex radios. So I recommend when you're building a code plug for your radio that you just put the whole fleet of North Georgia GMRS repeaters in there. And then, if you regularly travel to areas outside of North Georgia, take a look at my GMRS and or therepeaterbook.com and see what GMRS repeaters might be within those areas. And when you get there, just throw your call sign out and ask for permission to use the repeater. That's what I do, and very oftentimes I don't hear anything. Very oftentimes I'm met with crickets. But sometimes, and it seems like more lately, different areas that I travel to, like for instance the Indianapolis area when I go visit my daughter, they've stood up quite a number of repeaters in that region, and it's growing in activity, and I hear activity in that area quite a lot. North Florida is collecting more and more repeaters, and I'm hearing more and more activity in the times that I travel in that area. So even if they're repeaters outside of the North Georgia GMRS fleet, that might be worth adding them to your code plug so that you can just flip to those presets when you're traveling in those areas, which is another reason I love commercial radios, because oftentimes you can set zones and have a wide range of channels that you can program for various areas and things of that nature. Whereas some of these consumer GMRS radios are very limited in only having 8 repeater pairs, and if you want to have the entire fleet, you kind of can't. You're limited in. You just have to go to one of those pairs and change the tone when you get to that part of the network. And I would really rather be able to just write a code plug and have the whole mess right up front. So good stuff, Eric. And I hear what you're saying about the amateur radio. And I think you and McDonough 22 share that opinion. Oh, Jeff's twisting his arms over there like I'm going to pay any attention to him. Let me break. And it's not something that's really, required, Eric. It's another opportunity or another tool for communication, and it's another opportunity for you to be able to engage with other radio enthusiasts. So I wouldn't close the book on amateur radio, and I wouldn't hold a closed mind about it. But at the same time, if you're satisfied with where you're at, that's okay. And but in your pursuit of radio interests, it's just the next logical step. GMRS radio is a great entry into two-way radio, and it's a great place to start out and to pursue your radio interests. But as you gain experience and knowledge in what we do in GMRS radio, you're halfway there to the knowledge that it takes to get your amateur license. And part of taking that test is learning the rules. A lot of our rules are their rules, so we know part of that already. There is some science and some technology that you need to be able to know to pass the test, but it's stuff that we're dealing with anyway. We already know about SWR, and we already know about offsets in our repeaters. We already know about a lot of the things that we're going to be looking at and studying for in the amateur radio test. So as an experienced GMRS operator, you have most of what it takes to become an amateur technician. Whether you realize it or not, you're most of the way there. So it's not a big step to get into that. And but I understand if that's not something you're interested in, then stay right here in GMRS radio. I do. 99% of my radio activities are related to GMRS radio. I don't do very much in amateur. Expect to as the studio comes together and other opportunities come about, but it's too difficult to set up an HF station without having a place to do that here, and it's just not practical for me to operate in VHF without having a station that I can regularly set up and operate. So I get it. All right, next on our list we have Gainesville 417. William in Auburn is in and out. I think that we were talking about this, in the last week or two. I think that William is probably one of our most consistent check-ins.
Yeah.
He's been here for a long, long time, and I think he's missed very, very few nets. We could probably data mine the old logs to see if he's a record holder, but I'm just going to give him the honor anyway and say thanks, William, for being there and being steady. Appreciate that. Next we have Atlanta 256, Chuck at the 12 Hours of Sebring. Chuck, what's happening? Have they started racing yet?
Well, good evening, guys. I'm talking to you live from Dodge City in the Sebring International Raceway. Right now, we're just coming back from a red flag crash on the track. We are doing night practice until 9:30 at night, and it's pretty awesome. As you can hear in the background, just want to say, gotta love Zello. Let's set up for this. We're running to two guys from Duluth, Georgia, who are in GMRS, and got a little questions about what we do. So I turned them on to North Georgia GMRS and told them to check out the net tonight on YouTube and to just check it out. Maybe when they get back home from the race, they'll want to check it out. Anyways, I know it's kind of noisy here, guys. Cars are going by, and I'll take it back to you guys.
Well, fantastic, Chuck. And yes, the race sounds fantastic. The practice session, we can hear him making hot laps behind you. And it's fantastic. Sounds great. You sound fantastic. And appreciate you introducing some of the friends that you've made at Sebring to North Georgia GMRS. And, if they are watching on YouTube, they can comment in the chat portion of the channel, and if we see those comments, we'll add them to the log. So that's we just ask for a GMRS call sign, and we'd love to have them in the log. And if we miss it live, if they come in after the fact and comment, we'll try to get them included in one of the upcoming events. So,
did you see that big contraption they built?
A Dodge City, yeah.
He's got like his own grandstand.
So somebody brought that in. They've got all those neon signs on it. And
no, Chuck and his crowd assemble it every year when they go. That's like their watching point.
That's crazy.
He says he told me that the drivers and some of the pit crew and other people come over to hang out with them at this city that they've put together because it's so cool and they enjoy stopping by. So he doesn't have to go to them. The VIPs come to Chuck.
Well, that sounds about like Chuck. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. Well, I hope you have a great time, and I'm looking forward to some of the stories. Perhaps they'll even be true. Next on our list, we have Gainesville 5-8. Jonathan in Oakwood is in and out. Also, we have Chattanooga 162. Larry in Chattanooga, in and out. CW2, Steve in Arnoldsville, in and out. Chattanooga 110. Did we settle on Jim? I think that's Jim. James or Jim in Ringgold is in and out. Atlanta 454 Steve in Lilburn and Atlanta 453 Janine, also in Lilburn, are both in and out. And that'll bring us to Atlanta 250 Dana in Dahlonega. Dana, do you have any web tools that you'd like to share?
Well, good evening, guys, and thanks for the little advertisement there. Yeah, I use everything from, now this is all for the Friday Night Simplex. I try to gauge what Mother Nature might allow us to do. And I use online tropospheric ducting maps. I use geomagnetic maps, weather maps, and just try to see if
we lost him.
Mother Nature is going to deal us for the challenge. It has worked sometimes, and like Mother Nature, every time you think you bested her, sometimes she stalks it back to us. But those are just a few online tools that I use.
Good stuff, Dana. And yeah, I hadn't really considered there's lots of things that we might use in amateur radio in terms of studying the ionosphere and tropospheric ducting and all that sciencey technical stuff. There's magnetic storms and not storms so much, but the solar flares from the sun that come and go, and they can have a huge influence on signal propagation and noise and all sorts of resources. And we have the technology today to know, when the flare occurs and how long that flare is going to impact our coverage. And so lots of great tools there that typically get used in other areas of radio, but can also be informative as to what we do here in GMRS. And I can see where the application in the Friday nights at 9 Simplex challenge could very well be utilized there as well. So good stuff, Dana. And you take something as simple as, can you talk to your neighbor on Simplex, and then turn that into an organized event. And what a cool thing that Dana has led the charge on. I know there's some other web tools that Dana's been making use of too, and one of them is the North Georgia GMRS developed logging tool. So hats off to our network engineer John Wolf for developing that logging tool that we use every week. And I know that Dana has been able to make use of that as well. So good stuff. Dana, did you have anything else to add?
I'll get past this moment and think of about 15 others, but that's just the way it goes. But I'll turn it back over to you guys, and always a great net. Appreciate everything you guys do.
All right. Well, before you sneak off, I do have a question for you, and that is, when is your next Friday night at 9 Simplex Challenge?
Is this a trick question?
Yes.
Well, tomorrow being Friday, it's going to be tomorrow evening, the Friday night at 9 Simplex Challenge. I'm the ball ground repeater. I don't know. I'm getting used to these PSAs, I guess. There you go.
So it wasn't a trick question.
All right. So that's on the ball ground repeater. I believe they start communications at 8:30 in preparations and to be organized for the Simplex activities to begin at 9. So if you're able to tune in to the ball ground repeater at 8:30 tomorrow night, do that. And if you're not able to tune in to the ball ground repeater, go ahead and call out on channel 19 on your Simplex radio and see if you can reach any of your neighbors on Simplex, GMRS Simplex, in your area. And it'd be a great way for you to find out what your coverage is in Simplex, because it's going to be very different than what your coverage is to a repeater. One of the things that folks don't realize is that radio-to-radio performance is going to be very different than talking on your radio to a repeater. Part of the reason is that the repeater does all the heavy lifting. All right, so when you think about it, the repeater is a big radio on a high elevation with a very high efficient antenna, and it has all the advantages to be able to send a signal over great distances. It also has all the advantage in being able to hear a distant or weak signal more clearly than a radio that were on the ground. So the repeater network, being what it is, offers a tremendous advantage to you using your handheld or your mobile or even your base radio that you're not going to be able to enjoy if you're talking simplex to probably your neighbors. So if you're in a situation where the repeater network for whatever reason is not available and simplex is all there is, wouldn't it be cool to know what you can do before things happen and the network is down? So that's what the Simplex Challenge is all about. And so whether you're able to participate on the ball ground repeater or not, I highly recommend finding out more about the 19 at 9 Friday night Simplex Challenge and get involved. Thank you, Dana. With all of that, we're going to go ahead and continue on to BR 549, Uncle Mike from up around Cherry Log. Mike, are you going to talk to us tonight, or are you just going to hang out on YouTube?
I haven't seen him on YouTube tonight.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Justin. But, I have no knowledge of what we're talking about tonight. I don't, my radio disc is smaller, really, than probably the chair you're sitting in now. I don't have room for a computer, and so I know nothing about the apps. I do keep repeater book in one of my computers, and so when I get a hankering to get some amateur frequencies in my area, I'll go look them up. But I rarely have a printer that works, so I keep having to go back there. I don't print much of that out. But I should have just checked in and out. But unfortunately, I haven't fallen in love with the computer app as a tool at my disposal. I like to think of myself as a discoverer of things, and so to speak. Thank you for the opportunity. Y'all have a wonderful night. I'll be watching and listening and learning. Hopefully, this is BR 549 back to net control.
Well, Uncle Mike, before you slip away and get lost in the wonders of YouTube, just kind of curious if you're planning to attend the Smith Family BBQ, and if we'll be able to enjoy your presence there. Did you get your RSVP in?
I did. Mr. CV, number 2, just insisted I get it in, so I got it in. I didn't receive all of the emails, probably my old computer thing, but I got checked in. My son, Matthew, from West Virginia, is coming down, and he's going to be attending with me. But yes, sir, Ray, we're in the books.
Very good. Well, I'm looking forward to an opportunity to visit with you at the Smith Family BBQ, and I'm looking forward to an opportunity to meet Matthew. We've heard so much about him, and it'll be great to put a face with that name, and just continue on with the fellowship there. So glad to know that you'll be there, and I'm sure many other listeners are excited to know that they'll have a chance to spend some time in fellowship with BR 549. Thank you for that, Uncle Mike. And with that, I'm going to let you go slip over into the other chair and ease on into YouTube for the remainder of the program. And thanks for hanging out with us for just a few minutes over here on the air. Next, we have CW33 Tom in Bogart is in and out tonight, as well as CW40 Robert in Nicholson in and out. And that'll bring us to McDonough 22 Tim in Stockbridge, also one who is not going to pursue an amateur license. Is that right, Tim?
Well, that was certainly my stance earlier. My situation has changed, and unfortunately, due to some rough circumstances, I now have a lot more time on my hands than I used to, and I'm looking for ways to fill that time up. And due to the constant badgering of McDonough 39, 134, and McDonough 21, I have decided to undertake a study for the technical exam.
I love it.
And I've been going through that for the last week and a half or two. So with regards to that, I have found hamstudy.org to be a valuable resource. I like the study tools that they have there. You can just go through there and they just feed you one question after another until you get it. And then when you think you've learned a little bit, you can go in and take a practice test. My first two practice tests, I scored a 60 and a 65. And my last two were 77 and 76. So I'm coming along, but I've kind of hit a speed bump with a couple of topics, and so I'm going to have to slow down and get a little bit more information on the use of ham radio with telephony and TV stuff that I didn't expect to have to deal with. But I'll get through it eventually, so let me break. So anyway, I'm going to try to see my way through it. Hopefully I can get the test taken and done before my hip surgery on the 11th of April. And I'd like to have that done and finished, not for any particular reason, but it's just that if I don't do it while everything's fresh in my mind, I'll probably fail the test and I'll have to start all over again when I come out of the recovery stuff.
But anyway, a couple more tools. I don't think anybody has mentioned. We talked about the North Georgia GMRS website, which is especially a valuable resource for anybody just joining up or considering joining. All the information you need is there. But one that hasn't been mentioned, at least I didn't hear it if it was the North Georgia GMRS Facebook page, where we have a lot of new people come on there, and they can ask questions and get pretty much immediate answers, if not immediately. Within a few hours, they'll get a good answer. It's quite a busy website, generally speaking, and the Facebook page is a great resource to get questions answered if you have problems with your antenna, your mobile setup, getting your PL tones right, or whatever, programming, and so forth. And there's also a file station on there that has various code plugs for different types of radios that they can download and just plug it right into their radio and hit the road. The last one, let me break. The last one is just a little app I use on my phone that I've been using for a couple of years or more now, and I bought the premium version. I like it so much, but it's on the Play Store, Google Play Store. I'm an Android guy, so on the Play Store it's called GPS Tools, and it's put out by a company called Virtual Maze, and it has quite a few tools in there, not to mention a pretty good weather predicting or weather app, and it also will tell you, you can pinpoint a spot on the map and it'll tell you what the elevation is above sea level. There's also a portion of that app that you can pinpoint two different spots on the map, and it will tell you as the crow flies what the distance is between those 2 points. And you can do that for free. If you want, there are some ads on there occasionally, as they're all with free, but it's not really that intrusive. And I used it as a free app for quite a while, and I found out I liked it so much, I just went ahead. I think it was like $6.99. I bought the premium version to get rid of the ads. So anyway, that's about all I can think of tonight, gentlemen, and I'll throw it back to you guys.
Well, those were a couple of great suggestions, and but let's go back. I'm really pleased to know that you've succumbed to the peer pressure and are in pursuit of your amateur license. And I find it very interesting that in a week and a half of study, you scored a 66 on the test right off the bat. And then with just a little bit of effort, you're up into the mid-70s. And, of course, what is it, a 74 is passing?
Yeah, something like that.
So I mean, with a week and a half of study, like I say, with GMRS radio, we've already learned most of what a technician needs to know in order to pass the test. So I'm excited at what we're experiencing right here with Tim, because I have no doubt that the technician is in his near future, and even if he still remains in the GMRS field, much as I have. I mean, I don't spend very much time working the amateur bands. You still, that's something that you have, and you can own that, and it's an accomplishment that it's yours and nobody else's. So that's a very cool thing. So I would encourage you to continue with hamstudy.org. I agree. I think that's a fantastic tool for learning all things related to amateur license testing. And so that's very good stuff. You also mentioned Facebook, and you're right. We really haven't talked very much about the Facebook page for North Georgia GMRS, but that is probably one of the best resources that a new radio enthusiast could go to, because you can ask the most basic of questions, and you'll get good answers. Before the program tonight, I saw somebody had asked about repeater offsets. Are all repeaters 5 megahertz offset for GMRS radio? And of course, is that not obvious? Well, apparently it's not, because somebody asked the question. So, and I haven't looked to see what kind of answers have landed on the web page, but based on my knowledge of this Facebook group, I'm sure the question was answered with sincerity and helpfulness. And are you looking at it?
I'm gonna pull it up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and that's what you'll find with questions here. When you ask even a very basic question, that maybe some of us would think that, oh, it's obvious. Well, it's not obvious, especially when somebody is brand new. And when somebody's brand new to radio, repeater offsets are that's a discovery. I mean, who knew? I didn't know anything about repeaters and offsets before I started in this adventure in radio. Learned all of that along the way. So,
yeah, a couple good answers in there. Bobby, Atlanta 403, got in there with a good answer. Marshall got in there, explained that it's 5 megahertz, just the same as the rest of the 70 centimeter band. So yeah. Helpful answers just in the short time we've been on the air.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Time to break. I'll be right back. And along those lines, there's one more web page that really has been mentioned kind of in passing, but I'd like to draw some light to, and that is the YouTube channel. The North Georgia GMRS YouTube channel has a number of informative videos on it, and it's our intention to continue to grow that library. Jeff, are you working on a video now?
We're live right now.
Well, you're working on an instructive video, are you not?
I am.
Oh, I thought you were. He probably is. He might not even know that he is. Maybe he didn't film any of the work that he's been doing the last couple of days, but I thought he was going to.
No, I was trying to beat the rain.
Okay, so
he did post some pictures.
Well, that'll probably not be on the YouTube channel then.
No.
But we are working towards building constructive and informative content there, particularly for new users. So be on the lookout for information, particularly in the Julie's Tips episodes. That's a good source for new users to learn about how things work in GMRS radio. And you can go back and look at many of the live streams that we've done and learn things from the topics related if you care to spend that kind of time in a video. That's kind of why we brought out Julie's Tips, was because we knew that the short form videos were a little bit easier for folks to absorb than this might be fun to watch live. But in any case, check out the YouTube channel. I think there's a lot of good stuff there, and there's more coming all the time. And all right, so with that,
the interesting factoid that I found this week about our YouTube channel is 70% of our viewers are not subscribers.
Well, and that's another thing that we should probably point out, is that if you're going to take the time to watch our videos, please like and subscribe. We hear all the YouTube content creators just hammer that point, like and subscribe. And we really haven't done very much of that. And maybe we need to, because those are some of the metrics that help the channel to be found when people do searches. And the other thing that we've learned is that commenting within a video, even if it's not live, when you make a comment on those videos, that shows YouTube that you're engaged and interacting with that video. And that carries a little more weight than a like or a subscribe does. So all of those things contribute to the channel earning some content value among the YouTube audience. And all of those things are things that come back and offer rewards to us for creating the content and going through the work of putting a program like this together. There's time involved all through the week related to the content that we do on Thursday night. And those are the things that help make those efforts worthwhile. So YouTube is definitely a good resource for new radio users to check out from North Georgia GMRS Network. All right. With that, let's continue on. We have next on the list, we have Dallas 20. David in Southwest Paulding County. I want to say thanks, David, for hosting the West Side Brunch with you and with I'm drawing a blank. 4, 5, 4, 6, and 4, 7. But the names are right there on the tip of my. I see the faces, and come on and help me out, David. Oh, he's gonna leave me hanging.
Hey, this is Dallas 2-0. You cut out. Did you time out, or is it my turn?
He didn't know you called on him because he timed out.
The program director is telling me that I timed out. So yeah, I was just saying thanks for hosting the Rabbit Wing event, and just wanted to say thanks for that, and thanks for the birthday presents too. That was pretty cool. I didn't expect that, but yeah. Tell us a little bit about the event, and tell us a little bit about web tools that you might use.
Well, the luncheon was great. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't have rabbit wings, but we made do. We had, that was one good thing about Taco Mac is they have a little bit of everything, so if you're not into chicken wings, you can get burgers, quesadillas, or whatever else. So it was a pretty good spot, and I'm, thankful that Casey was able to pick that for us, and Robbie also. They were instrumental in finding a location for us, and more or less putting it all together, and then we helped with promoting it and getting it out on the air. So it was fun getting everyone to meet out there, and for the first time having 20 people show up was great. We'll hopefully keep the momentum going. Let me break. So for web tools, Tim stole my thunder, and I was going to say the North Georgia GMRS website is a great tool, but I'm glad he did mention it. Two of the things I use is an app called My Elevation. You can plug. It's a free use. You can tell what your elevation is, or type in an address and give you an your ASL that way. But also too, Google Maps. So Google Maps will allow you to drop a pin somewhere, and in the pull-up menu, it's on the bottom. You can have measure distance, and it's as the crow flies. And everybody wants to say, well, I'm 60, 70, 80 miles from Flagship or what have you. That'll give you a good chance to actually measure out where you are, and then you can use the line of sight tool to find out if there's anything obstructing, your signal there. But that's really what I had was My Elevation is a free app, and Google Maps is great. Chirp is another good one. I don't program many radios with Chirp, but they do have a query search that you can type in your zip code, and it will tell you the repeaters that are in your location.
I didn't know that Chirp had those kind of resources. I wonder if that works for amateur radios as well. So that's interesting. Chirp will search repeaters that are near you.
Yeah, you can set it to search by zip code, and I think even by county, if I'm not mistaken. But I know you can definitely do it by zip code.
Well, that's pretty cool. All right, and then My Elevation was the other website he'd mentioned. That sounds like that could have a lot of good applications. Google Maps and Google Earth are also, Google Earth is a very, very powerful mapping and information resource. And I like to just kind of look at things in Google Earth from time to time. It's a very cool way to find details that you might not otherwise see. So Google Earth is, when we're looking for things along the right of way, Google Earth is a great resource to find where things are at. We've got some mapping stuff on the railroad that shows very accurately where things are at. But if you want to find a relationship between a wayside device and where that is in relationship to, a road or a town or something like that. Sometimes the mapping feature that the railroad has isn't very good for that, but you could kind of zoom out or climb in elevation away from that site in Google Earth, and you can see a lot of stuff, a lot of information that you're not going to find otherwise. It can be very enlightening. So, very cool stuff. All right, where are we at? Let's see. We just talked with David in Southwest Paulding County. Next on the list is Dallas 2-1. Lisa, also in Southwest Paulding County, but Lisa doesn't want to hear from me tonight. She's in and out. That'll take us to Atlanta 780. Houston in Austell. Houston, do you have any web tools you'd like to share? I should have asked David about the rabbit hole.
Good evening, Net
I'll
Control.
take a picture, so I'm moving that microphone.
Yes, sir. I use a lot of different net,
I'll wait till you're talking. Oh, okay.
net study and ham beds, ham files, and thing about YouTube, I don't think I've heard anybody mention is if someone has a radio that they want to reprogram, a lot of times you could go on YouTube and type in reprogram the type of radio you have, and someone has done it and will show you how to do it. Yeah, I've like with programming information, I believe it's on the computer where you can get all the different codes and programs and stuff if you want to order them. They're all listed on it. Much to think about.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of tutorial stuff that you can find on YouTube for just about anything you want to do, all the way from programming a radio to installing one in a vehicle to fixing lawn equipment or changing out tires and things like that on your yard tractor. Sometimes it's good to watch, even though you generally know how to do something like that. It's good to watch the mistakes that somebody else makes. Because I mean, who doesn't know how to change? It's a simple thing to change a tire in a lawnmower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wrong. No. I mean, it's a bit of work, and especially when you don't have tools that are made specifically for that. It can be an effort when you're trying to change a tire in a yard tractor with screwdrivers and pry bars. So it's cool to watch some of those YouTube videos and see some of the pitfalls that other folks.
Well, it was pretty cool watching you try to change that tire with a screwdriver.
Yeah, but I got it done, didn't I? Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of glad there's no video on that.
I'm kind of sad there isn't.
Right?
I expected you would have made one.
I was about to, but I didn't want to throw fuel on the fire.
Yeah, that's just one of those projects that you know that there's an easier way. But I watched a bunch of videos and I didn't find the easy button. So, the easy button is to just take the wheel off and go to a shop and have them put a tire on the wheel.
Let them do it.
Yeah.
The last time I had to do mine on the zero turn, I won't go into the whole story, but it involved a Sawzall.
He tried that method with the tractor, but that went south also.
Yeah,
about to cut the rim off.
But the steel cables inside those tires are more than I was prepared for.
Well, and those tires are so small, so you don't have the circumference. Everything, all your tolerances get tighter in those smaller wheels.
Oh, yeah.
So you lose some of that flex that you might have over the course of a larger wheel. So years ago, I had to change tires on a car manually. When dirt broke and there's a vehicle with a set of tires the same size as the tires that I need, and so I could have them for free, but I had to do all that work, and the rims were different, so I couldn't just take the whole wheel off and put it on my car. I had to take the wheel off, and I had to actually swap tires on both rims because the car that I was getting the tires from had to have tires on it so it could be moved.
Yep.
So it was a lot of work, but the price was right.
Did you find a tutorial on YouTube?
You know, that was 25 years ago, and although YouTube existed,
Probably not on your phone.
Probably
Yeah.
not very helpful.
The idea of going to YouTube to learn how to do things just wasn't a thing at that time. So, but yeah, cool stuff. Let me break. But those are some great ideas, Houston, and yeah, the tutorial tools are definitely a good way to learn how to do things and learn how to program a radio. And sometimes there's an easy way to add a PL or change a function on a radio right from the face. That's the beauty of GMRS radio, is it's supposed to be simple. So if you have a Part 95 radio, you should be able to reprogram PL tones and repeater names and things like that right from the face of the radio. So good stuff.
You know, I want to, you saying that kind of made me think of a reason that I was on getting our repeater list the other day. And I know tonight's topic is about online tools, but you can take some of those online tools offline with you. And what I found myself doing was printing a card of all of our repeaters and all of our tones from the website. And you can do that, of course, with ours, but also if you use my GMRS or any of the other sites, if you're traveling to find other repeaters, having a printed copy of some of these things, the value of that sometimes can't be understated. If you need to reprogram a radio, if you can't program it on the fly, so hop on and get yourself a printed copy of some of those things as well when the internet isn't available.
Well, and that's a good point, because you know we do rely on these web tools, but that is dependent on the web being there, and you never know.
That's right.
I mean, you could have been working just fine a minute ago, and then somebody at AT&T changes a configuration on a router someplace, and the whole network goes down.
Yeah, and the
That'll
whole
never
country
happen.
goes down. Yeah.
That will never happen, but it does, and
It
those kind
did.
of things. Well, yeah. So you may be there 1 minute and not available the next, and we don't know when these outages come, if they're momentary, or they're all day, or worse.
Until further notice.
Yeah. So if you've got a printout, that can be a huge value for information that we access regularly. So just having it on your phone is cool, but if you can't get it off your phone, then you can't get it. All right. Well, good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's continue on. We have Atlanta 170. Dalton in Cartersville is in and out. Rome 36. Jeff in Silver Creek is in and out. Atlanta 138. Robert in Auburn is at band practice. He's in and out. And that'll bring us to Chattanooga 30. Jonathan in Hickson. Jonathan, do you have any web tools you'd like to share with us tonight?
Yeah. During this conversation, I've been thinking about that I couldn't even be here talking on this radio if it wasn't for the internet. This radio was originally programmed for some, I don't know, it was in the 460 to 465 megahertz, but it's definitely not a GMRS channel. So when I wanted to start using it, I had to have the internet to find out, what frequencies were available I could use it on, and I was very glad to find out that, oh yeah, this radio can be used on GMRS, and I can get a GMRS license very easily. But even then, I had to get somebody to program the radio, somebody with a DOS computer to program it, and found that through the NGGMRS Facebook page. Shipped it down to them with a prepaid label. They shipped it back to me. If it hadn't been for the internet after that, then I would have had to been calling out on all the different GMRS channels, trying to find out, well, where are the repeaters out here? Who's on the repeater? How do I get the PL tones to get on the repeater? Fortunately, all that information was made very easy with the NGGMRS website and their Facebook page. I found NGGMRS through mygmrs.com. I've just
I wanted to find out, well, I know enough about radios to know that a repeater just, how do you say, it's like it makes a radio 10 times more useful if you can get on a repeater with it. And so I knew I had to find a repeater service break. So NGGMRS showed me there were a bunch of repeaters in the North Georgia, Chattanooga area, and I kept noticing that, like, they're all owned by the same guy. It's like, well, that's kind of weird. I didn't know one guy could own a whole lot of repeaters. And a little more research showed me that, it was a club, and you could get a membership to it. And it was like, all right, I am in. It's like, yeah, I am in. Web research tools. One I haven't heard mentioned I play around with a lot is called HeyWhat'sThat.com.
Yes.
It's a online point-to-point, like line-of-sight mapping tool. It'll show you like the elevations between you and a repeater, or you and another simplex station. It'll also show you things like mountain tops. So if you're someplace and you wonder, hey, what's that mountain over there? You can use Hey What's That to find that. Pretty neat little app. It lets you save files, save locations, so you can go back to them again. It also gives some RF coverage maps. Pretty neat little tool. I use the internet for everything. I'm always researching stuff, learning about stuff, looking stuff up, reading stuff. That's what I'm always doing. And like I said, if it wasn't for the internet, I couldn't even have found this network or got on it in the first place. Thank you all very much.
That's some good stuff, Jonathan. And yeah, we're kind of looking at what is that? Hey, what's that? Is that the site you're on?
Yeah. We're
kind of looking at that here as well, and that's one we hadn't heard of. So that's worth taking a look at. So just Google that, and I'm sure you'll be able to explore that page as well. And yeah, I mean, we stumble across things all of the time when we're looking for something. We get distracted easily, and we find other things, and that's kind of the core of a lot of the research that I do is, the oh shiny. You start looking down one road, and you find information about other things, and that's also when I first started hearing about GMRS. That's what I did. Is I went to the internet to learn, what is GMRS and what is this all about. And so the FCC, you go to the FCC website to learn about a radio service, and there's a whole lot of information there, but you kind of come away from that thinking, what? What? I still don't really doesn't.
Yeah, it's kind of in legal mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, it's really hard to make sense out of what you learn from the FCC. And so, just jumping around, and of course, I think probably one of the most common things that comes up whenever you're searching for anything related to GMRS is the My GMRS page. Mm-hmm. And so from there, and that maybe isn't really a very good page in terms of explaining what GMRS is, but it does have a lot of resources, and there's a lot of information there. It's real close to being a great page. But in any case, I think that's probably one of the first things that a lot of people stumble across. And then, of course, it's natural to start doing some searching. You plug in your zip code and create your free account, and then you find out that, there's repeaters nearby. That, I think, is the story that many of us can tell over and over again on this network as to how we learned about this network is through My GMRS. Just some simple searches. So good stuff, Jonathan, and that's another great resource that we can add into the list. All right, next on our list we have Gainesville 100. Randall in Buford is in and out. And we have Cades Cove 81. Renee in Rockwood is in and out. That'll bring us to Atlanta 20. Mike in Cartersville. Mike, do you have any web tools you'd like to share?
Good evening, Control. I apologize. I was on a work call, so I don't know if you discussed previously. but I know that with GMRS it's predominantly on site. But do you think, I know that we have problems with the weather in regards to like wind and rain, less hundred repeater, but do solar activity have any bearing on our communication? In the ham world, it's a big thing. You have to look at solar flares and what's coming on, and whether it's night and day, and that has an effect on long range. And I know that GMRS is predominantly on the site, but I was curious to know if there is anything that we, would be affected by in that regard. Additionally, if we can put some of the links to the pages that people have, brought up this evening on. Sorry about that, I got the time out. If we can put links up for some of the tips that people have put up on the webpage and or YouTube, links directly to those websites, that would be great.
Real hard time copying that, Mike. We had a lot of white noise on top of you. Your modulation was low enough that it was overwhelmed by the white noise. But a few of the things that I did hear you talk about, really, I just kind of at the end, I heard him talking about links.
It was a little louder there
if we could add some links.
Yeah.
So we may be able to. I think somebody's going to have to sit down and actually do that, and it probably won't be me.
Well, at one point I did pull out of the noise. He was asking about solar activity that he knew it affected the ham side. Does that affect us on GMRS as well?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have the same effect in UHF as it does in VHF, but yes, it does. It does have an effect, and all the phenomenon that you experience on the 2-meter repeaters also happens in UHF, but differently. So we do get some interference from things like solar flares, but not to the same degree and not to the same intensity. So, whereas a solar flare sometimes can wipe a band out, it may not wipe out the band in UHF, but what it will do is diminish the fidelity of the bands, where you don't have the range that you once had. You have higher noise with signals, and it just gets tougher to pull some of the weaker signals out when you have the solar activity and stuff like that. And the weather events can also come into play. So when there's a lot of weather in the area, it can certainly elevate the noise floor, just as it does in other bands, just probably not to the same degree. UHF is a little more resilient when it comes to that kind of stuff, but it's not immune. There absolutely is an effect in UHF with those kind of phenomenon, just as there would be in amateur radio.
Well, I guess that would bring us to another tool that we didn't really discuss, which would be like the ducting forecast websites. I know most of them are aimed at the amateur stuff, but I mean, a lot of them do have UHF ducting maps and propagation maps based on your local area. So, I mean, there is something to that weather is going to play, and the map's going to show that to some degree.
Yeah, and I think Dana had made mention of that. I don't know of any of those pages specifically, but that stuff is out there, and all of that stuff it all boils down to a Google search, and you may not end up on the same site that Dana used, but there's probably, for every one thing that we are thinking of, there's probably 7 or 8 more just like it. And just like my GMRS, as a repeater listing, it's probably the most comprehensive GMRS listing out there. But apparently, you can just go to Chirp and plug in your zip code, and Chirp will find repeaters for you. So I didn't know that. And I know that a repeater book is beginning to list GMRS repeaters, but they're not anywhere near as comprehensive a listing as my GMRS is. So let me break. So that's, maybe it's not a matter of finding any one tool, but it's a matter of finding the best tool. And probably the Google search and some personal research is going to be the way to do that, because, I may like the features of one web page, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're looking for or what's going to work for you. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't have a collection of links that I can just post. Is what I'm getting down to. Is somebody's going to have to do that work, and it's probably not going to be me. Do we have any that are coming up in the YouTube chat?
Well, it was Mike, because he knew that his RF signal was bad, and he was asking about the solar activity, which we did touch on. And he asked if we could put the links that we're talking about in maybe on the Facebook page or in the comments of the live stream once it's over.
Did anybody else put any links in the live stream?
Not that I can see.
Okay. Well, that would be a great way to enhance the program, is if anybody's able to go into the chat. And
I would do it later on once the program is ending. That way they stay, because the live stream comments drop off once the live stream ends.
Well, and Ed, Atlanta 557 left a comment that said, "Here is one," and I'm wondering if links are not able to be saved in the chat because there was nothing after Ed's comment. So, yeah, we'll go back and add those in after the live stream.
Yeah, all right. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, that's good stuff, Mike. Thank you for all of that, and good idea coming back into the chat to reiterate your questions there so that we could see that. Next on our list is Atlanta 261, Scott. Scott is the individual responsible for tonight's conversation. So thanks for that suggestion this evening, Scott. And Scott, did you have any web pages you'd like to recommend? I think probably you're going to talk about the space station.
Thank you, Net Control. I didn't want to break in, but yes, 15 minutes ago, for about 9 minutes, I would give it a 6.9 out of viewing, and it was pretty much overhead. But yes, ISS Detector is a very cool one. Let me break. There's two more. The one I want to talk about is hamstudy.org or so forth. There was a guy that texted me a year and a half ago and said, "Hey, I'm going to come out and have some hamburgers. We'll do it once a week for a few weeks or 5 or 6." But it was a very good fellowship. There's 4 or 5 guys I won't mention, but definitely when you got down to testing, I remember Jeff Karen talking about this question. Let me break.
He's not going to mention any names, though.
And then, of course, at testing, got that down. And then, I guess in the last testing, they let you look at your answers. I don't think that was the protocol, but I missed the easiest question ever, which just broke me. But we passed the exam, and I was so nervous. I remember sitting out in the parking lot for at least 2 hours going over questions, and then running to a couple of net control operators that we won't mention. But everything was well. But I do just go for your ham thing, just to do it. Just say, "Hey, man, I solved the Rubik's Cube." Blah, blah, blah. Let me break one more thing. Okay, and my favorite web thing is Internet Archive. If you like live music, playing or programming, video games, arcade, just all backup internet archives of music and so forth. Internet Archive is a beautiful thing, and then for those that are in the know, there you go. And this is Atlanta 261, and I'll be clear. Hopefully not too big of an embarrassment.
Well, my favorite memory.
Well, wait a minute. He may have been 2 hours nervous in the car before his test.
Yeah.
But at least he didn't fall for the free salad gag.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
No, he didn't. He didn't buy the free salad bit, did he? But my favorite memory is, we had all gone in and taken our test, and then after we were kind of kicking around the boneyard, and we were doing all of this while Scott's out tormenting himself in the car, agonizing over whether or not he was ready to take the test. And so finally, Scott comes into the grounds. He comes through the admission gate, and that's where I see him. We're getting ready to leave. He's on his way in, and he says, "How did everybody do?" And I said, "We did great, Scott. We all passed." But Scott hadn't taken his test yet, and Scott said, "Expletive. There's always one."
And it was him.
And it's going to be me. It's going to be me. There's always one. But nonetheless, he passed, and it was a success all the way around.
Awesome.
So proud of everyone who participated in that particular study session, those 6 weeks of going through the study guide together and accomplishing that extra amateur test. So hats off to everybody involved, and that's a great way to approach this, because if you have a study group, there were 6 of us in this particular group, and all 6 of us passed the test that we were studying for. If you have a study group, it kind of builds some accountability, where you might not be as committed to investing the time in study. But if you know that in a few days you're going to be sitting at this table with these guys, and there's going to be an expectation that you've done your portion and you can bring something to the group, that's pretty cool, because that accountability is a really good tool to use to make sure that you get through the material as well. And it worked for Scott, and it worked for all of us, and well, it didn't work for free salad, but he wasn't here then, so he wasn't able to take that ride.
He did get his free salad,
but
though.
he did get his free salad.
I got that salad.
And,
I got the salad.
That's fantastic. So good stuff. That's my favorite memory from that event, is that Scott says there's always one. And, well, not this time.
Yeah,
not this time. There wasn't one this time. Everybody passed, and great job. So good stuff. Hey, I sent you a text, Scott. Take a look at that and give me an answer over the next few days and see if that's something we can make happen. Next on the list, we have Atlanta 1-1. John in Canton is in and out, and that'll bring us to Noonan 120. Carmine in Fayetteville. Carmine, do you have any websites you'd like to share with the group?
Guys got time for late check-ins?
Yeah, we'll come to late check-ins in here in just a little bit once we finish up the roster, and hopefully we're not too far from that. So stand by here for a moment. We'll get just a few more that we're going to talk to. Then we have a long list of in and outs, and then we'll take late check-ins at that time. I'm going to go ahead and show Carmine as in and out at this time and continue on with Atlanta 191. Jim in Holly Springs is in and out. I have Atlanta 725. David in Canton, also in and out. Atlanta 154, Mike in Marietta, in and out, and that'll bring us to Atlanta 289, Grady in Jasper. Grady, did you have any websites you'd like to share?
Well, as far as websites go, not particularly, but I don't always have a laptop with me. What I do always have is my phone. So I would like to point out a couple apps. First and foremost, the North Georgia GMRS app on my telephone, the Ham Study on my telephone, and Also, I know that we talked about YouTube earlier, in particular the North Georgia GMRS page on YouTube. But YouTube in general is a good resource a lot of times for GMRS stuff. But I would just like to point out that some of the apps also work well, and that's kind of what I lean towards.
Sunset, sunrise.
Oh, very good. And you know that, I guess, you know, that's a difference in maybe the way a lot of us look at it, because I'm more driven towards looking at stuff on a computer. I become frustrated trying to see things and navigate through things on a phone or a tablet. I really want to explore things from the perspective of a website. But I have been able to open up the North Georgia GMRS website from the phone and get information from it. So, I mean, that's a useful and worthwhile endeavor. Many things are frustrating to me on the phone, and so, like, for instance, online banking. I'm not going to do it on the phone.
You don't do it on your phone?
I'm just not going to do it on the phone. I have anxiety over security, and I don't like the way the interface looks. It just doesn't look the same as I need it to look for me. So, and there's other things that I won't do online because it frustrates me. And so when it comes to filling out forms and stuff like that,
yeah,
I'm not going to do that on a phone. I don't have any problem with a laptop or a desktop computer doing that sort of stuff, but I'm just not going to do it. But, you know, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to that kind of thing, because lots of people are doing those things on their phones successfully, and that's just the age of things now. So, but yeah, I think that's just the way things are these days. Yeah, on the phone.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a lot of it depends, too, on the website itself. I mean, some of them are much more mobile-friendly than others. I just recently placed an order that was frustrating to all get out, that I was literally about to call the company.
You've been complaining about that for like 2 days.
It was frustrating.
It really got you.
Placing an order for 2 items should not take 45 minutes of your time.
No, it shouldn't.
But you probably would have done it in 5 minutes if you had a computer on that website.
I don't know. Their website is pretty janky.
Well, that's been my experience, is that it's just not worth the frustration to do those things on the phone. And so I will, you know, when it comes to online banking, and I love online banking, but I'm not going to do it from a phone.
Not on the phone.
You know, I'm just not going to do that. So I'll wait until I get to a place where I can, and that works for me. So good stuff, Grady. Thanks for bringing that up. Next on the list, we have a guest check-in tonight. We have WSAE 364, Philip in LJ. Philip, do you have any online tools you'd like to share?
I've pretty much used all of the sites that you've already mentioned, as far as Repeater Book, Radio Reference, My GMRS, North Georgia GMRS. My thing is finding programming software, and maybe some frequencies for, say, if you want to set up your radio as a scanner for your local area.
Yeah, it's a great point.
That's a good point. And, you know, Radio Reference is a tool that you can use to find frequencies to plug into your scanner, and that can be a good resource for that. Did you have another site in mind, Mike? What did you just mention?
Oh no, the Repeater Book.
Repeater Book, yeah.
Repeater Book and Radio Reference, 2 good ones if you need to find other frequencies.
Yeah. So and that can show you things in your area. So that's good stuff. Did we drop the repeater? Am I talking to Grady or am I talking to Philip?
You're talking to Philip, and I have queried stuff off of Chirp or Chirp Next. You can get repeater book and radio reference through Chirp. One of them, you have to be a premium member in order to download and save it to the computer. But is there any other programming software for your radios out there besides Chirp or Chirp Next?
Well, I mean, it depends on your radio, I guess, because, Motorola has proprietary software for their radios. Kenwood has a different version of software for every radio they make. So if you have 3 or 4 different Kenwood radios, you got to have a collection of Kenwood software to be able to program those radios. And, in the commercial world, that's pretty common. Each radio model may have functions and features and firmware values that make having a specific software for that radio necessary. Part of it, I think, is just it gives those manufacturers a chance to sell to commercial customers another piece of software, along with that, fleet of radios that you just bought. Oh, by the way, give us another couple $100 for this software too. I think that's pretty common in the commercial world of radios. However, with these older radios, that software becomes more and more available for download, so it's not hard to find. In terms of the Part 95 radios that are out there now, Chirp seems to cover a lot of them, but there again, I mean, there's a proprietary software for a lot of these radios that is manufacturer specific. Motorola, for instance, you can program your Motorola radio from the face, but if you want to program the radio from your computer, then you're going to have to use a proprietary software for that. And it's their branded software.
And even the radios that Chirp is capable of doing, you're not going to get the full set of features that the radio is capable of. It's kind of a generic software. And Kenwood, to some degree, some of the models are capable of being programmed on Chirp, but you can't do everything that the radio can do from that Chirp programming software interface.
Yeah, and with GMRS radio, that's usually good enough. What you can do in Chirp is very often enough. But if you want to get in and change your timeout timer, you might not be able to do that in Chirp. Or if you want to get in and set up different functionality, your ignition sense and maybe some of the other more advanced features, you'll need the proprietary software for that radio to be able to engage some of those features. A lot of those features we just can't use in GMRS radio. But maybe you're going to use that radio for things GMRS and outside of GMRS, and those features are important. So, and that's something that Part 90, allows for. So good stuff. Did you have anything else for us, Philip?
No, that was about it. I'm really enjoying listening to you guys. I did find you guys on YouTube. Your video for the different privacy codes on the analog and digital was really helpful to me when I first got started out. Haven't been on your web page a whole lot, and I'm not a big Facebook kind of guy, so I haven't been to your web page on that. But I may check it out now. And I'll definitely be checking out the Simplex for Friday night.
Oh, I think you should. And as it happens, that'll be tomorrow. So perfect timing. And good luck with the Simplex. They're in Alajay. I think that you'll find ball ground is within range. And I think that you'll enjoy participating in the Simplex Challenge tomorrow night. 8:30 in the ball ground repeater, 9 o'clock for Simplex operations. Definitely check that out. Glad you found us, and welcome to North Georgia GMRS, and we look forward to hearing from you again. Next on our list, I have Chattanooga 49. Robert in Dalton is in and out, and that'll bring us to Atlanta 62. Gary in Lawrenceville. Gary, do you have any websites you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I sure do, but let me start off by just thanking Julie for that very sweet memorial for Jake. It is a huge loss to the North Georgia GMRS family and to the Beckstead family as a whole. For me, Jake was my little brother, and we had a really awesome relationship, and he was a dear dog, and we're going to miss him a lot. So thank you, Julie, for remembering him. Let me break. So as far as web tools go, a lot of folks have stolen my thunder. YouTube is a great resource for me on learning how to use the radio, different technologies. As a fledgling woodworker, I'm finding all kinds of techniques on YouTube that are useful. The North Georgia GMRS website, I think it's been mentioned a lot, but specifically the member roster is a huge help for me when I'm on the air in helping to know the first names and locations of folks that I'm making contact with. So I'm thankful that that's maintained and updated, and it's a great tool for me. And then finally, the last one was that I haven't heard anybody mention, frankly, is Zello, which is, for me, usually the way I get on the air because my little Kia doesn't have a radio in it, and Zello is my outlet. So those were mine.
Watch this. Well, that's very interesting that you mentioned not having a radio in your car. It just so happens that I know a guy who has some radios for sale, and they'll be available this weekend, Saturday from noon to 4.
And same thing on Sunday.
And same thing on Sunday. So if you're interested in acquiring one of those excellent Part 90 used Kenwood radios, they are 8180s and 8180Hs.
And programming cables.
And there's a programming cable available. And I know a guy who could probably score the programming software for those radios as part of that package. So if you're interested, send an email to, I know that you'll remember this name. Send an email to Gary at NGGMRS.org, and you can get one of those radios for that Kia.
Do you think he'll get the name spelled right, though?
I'm pretty sure he will.
All right.
He's a smart guy. What do you think, Gary? You going to get a radio?
Well, I've got one in the truck. In this case, the challenge is that the Kia is a hybrid, and frankly, I've got some anxiety about hooking anything extraneous electrical into it before it starts messing things up. But I will be down at the Hobbit Hole all weekend, and so anybody who comes by, I'll be excited to meet them and can provide some assistance with programming those radios. And who knows, if you're interested in a service monitor, I'm sure there's one or two of those still available for purchase for folks who want to really, really expand their capabilities on the radio side of things.
A very cool tool to have, yes. And
no internet required. That is not an online tool.
That's right. That's right. But a great tool to have to see the performance of a radio in a way that no other tool can show. So, yeah, those service monitors. I don't know how many are left, but there are a couple. And if you're serious about this radio hobby, that's a tool you should strongly consider. But before considering that tool, definitely consider reaching out to Gary at NGGMRS.org and inquire about those radios. Jeff, did you have that price list?
Let me find it. Should just take a minute.
They're Kenwood 8180s.
So
there
the
are two versions available. Go ahead.
The standard model is $220. The higher power, or 8180H, is $320, and the programming cable is $30.
So, roughly half of what you're going to spend if you're going to go out and buy a brand new radio. And these are commercial radios. They'll last forever. They're going to be tuned up and pre-programmed and plug and play. Bring it home, give it power, give it an antenna. and it comes with a microphone. That's all you need. So those would be great antennas. And
antennas, they're radios.
What did I say? Who knows? I'm getting tired. All right. It was good stuff, Gary. And he mentions a couple of websites, and I've kind of lost track. What did he talk about?
The North Georgia GMRS website, YouTube, and Zello as an online
Zello. Yes, Zello is a...
Zello can be used in many different ways as a tool all in itself.
And, you can use Zello to communicate even outside of North Georgia GMRS. So Zello is an app you can put on your phone, and you can put it on family members' phones, and you can use the PTT function to be able to communicate to family members, outside of the radio network, and it's still radio because it's a phone, but there's a lot of stuff you can do there. So Zello is a very, very interesting tool, and the coolest thing about Zello is that it allows you to stay connected even when you're at the race at 12 Hours of Sebring.
That's right.
Or in Egypt.
We have had a contact from Egypt. That's right, from Cairo. That was last year or the year before?
I think it was last year.
So, yeah, I think that was our longest distance contact. So any place where you can get a cellular or Wi-Fi connection, Zello can get you connected back into our network. Let me break. So very good stuff, Gary. Thanks for that. And yeah, Gary also mentioned Julie's comments in memorial to Jake. Jake, the beloved dog of the Beckstead family, passed away this week, and very sad news for the network and for the Beckstead family. So
if you missed Julie's tips, go back and watch it on the YouTube channel. I suggest everybody does that.
Yeah. So, all right. With that, we're going to continue on. We have Blue Ridge 64, Melissa checking in on YouTube. We have Cades Cove 82, Jenny in Rockwood is in and out. And we have Atlanta 557, Ed, Mr. Ed Fong from Kennesaw is in with us tonight. Ed, do you have any websites you'd like to share?
Good evening, folks. Yes, and funny you said Ed Fong because it kind of dovetails into what I was going to bring up. But first, I want to echo the statements about the Kenwood and Zello. I've used them both, and they both work great. But speaking of Ed Fong, a couple of tools that I've used that are out there that haven't been mentioned are antenna calculators. You can Google antenna calculator for whatever type you want, J-pole, Yagi, quarter wave, and you will find specific instructions and directions on how to make them. And I would encourage anyone who's a little bit adventuresome to try and make one. I actually made one out of a wire clothes hanger, for those of you that haven't talked to me about it before. And that's actually what I ran my station on for the first year and a half. And I was able to tune it because I made it specifically to the 467 megahertz frequencies versus generic antennas that might be tuned better down in the 465 range. But they're great to use as backups. They're great to take. I have one that folds up, and I can put in my go bag, and I can just chuck it over a limb of a tree with a rope and raise it up, and I'm on the air. So antenna calculators, they're out there for pretty much everything that you would want to do as far as an antenna goes.
The antenna calculator. That brings to mind, and this has been 5 or 6 years ago, but we were invited to participate in a fox hunt. And for the fox hunt, we wanted to have a handheld Yagi antenna to plug into our handheld radio for the purposes of hunting foxes. And Julie, Atlanta 947, actually made our tape measure PVC antenna using some calculations, some measurements that were provided to us. So we very carefully cut a metal tape measure into pieces and built a Yagi antenna off of a PVC frame. And that antenna worked very, very well. It's a very cool project, and those instructions can be found online. And you can make that antenna for just about anything. The antenna that we built was made for VHF, but it can be made for GMRS just as easily. The elements will be shorter, but the performance will be as good as you are at following directions.
Well, I think another one that just kind of popped in my brain with Ed's recommendation is the coax calculator. The coax calculator will calculate the loss in your coax of choice based on the frequency you're going to be using it on. So the coax calculator, especially in GMRS, with how lossy GMRS frequencies are and very fussy with coax, is another good useful tool that when somebody makes a recommendation for coax, you can go ahead and punch that in the calculator and see if that's a good recommendation, or obviously it's also going to be based on the length of the run that you need. So a lot of good tools there that Ed mentioned and sparked in my brain about the coax calculator.
Well, one thing that can be really informative about running a tool like the coax calculator, because I think a lot of people don't realize how much loss we will have in UHF frequencies and in GMRS in particular. So even with a really good coax like LMR 400, if your run is long, you're going to have elevated SWR, and you're going to have elevated losses and efficiency through that coax. So you can see what those numbers end up being by running a calculator and putting in the brand and style of cable that you're going to use and its length and terminations, and you can learn a lot about the nature of your antenna system by using some of these tools. So even if you're using a commercial antenna, a great antenna is not going to be that great if you've lost a lot of signal in your coax run. So it's important to keep our coax run as short as possible whenever we're installing antennas for our base stations. You know, it's you kind of get a default cable length when you're installing a mobile. You end up just, whatever the mount came with, a lot of times is what you end up using. And sometimes it's ill-advised to shorten that. Let me break. So you kind of get what you get in a mobile install. But when you're talking about 30 feet of LMR 400 versus 75 feet, take a look at what the calculator shows in terms of loss versus that longer run. And you might need to figure out a better place to locate either your radio or the antenna. So with that, we've got a long list of in and outs I'm going to go through fairly quickly, and that'll bring us to the end of the program. We'll take another round of late check-ins. So if you've been waiting to get in, this will be your chance coming up. Next on our list, we have Atlanta 558. Denise in Kennesaw is in and out. We have Dallas 60. Tyler in Rockmart is in and out. We have Atlanta 136. John in Covington, in and out. We have Rome 12. Mark in Rome, in and out. We have Atlanta 145. Stephen in Marble Hill is in and out. We have WRQD 950. Donnie is a guest check-in. No, he's a YouTube check-in from Virginia. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, Donnie. Glad to have you along. We have Atlanta 403. Bobby is at the Vortex tonight, in and out. We have Atlanta 849 and 848. Pamela and Ernest from Duluth are in and out tonight. Rome 313. Jason in Rome is in and out tonight. Atlanta 77. Warner in Tucker is in and out tonight. Gainesville 44. Joe in Cleveland is in and out tonight. Dallas 16. Michael in Dallas is in and out tonight. Michael, I met Michael at the West Side Luncheon, and Michael is going to bring some interesting assets to the network, I believe. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to get to know Michael along the way.
Very cool.
And a chance to chat with him about what he's capable of bringing to the network. So huge asset, and glad to have Dallas 16 in the mix. So thanks for hanging out with us. Next, I have a list of YouTube check-ins tonight. I have Atlanta 420 William in Roswell is a YouTube check-in. I have Noonan 50 Allen in Peachtree City as a YouTube check-in. I have Atlanta 739 Glenn in Canton is a YouTube check-in tonight. Atlanta 689 Jana is from Loganville is a YouTube check-in. Chattanooga 69 Ronnie in Las Vegas, he is the Velvet Elvis, is our YouTube check-in tonight. And we have a guest check-in from WSAD 791 from St. Augustine, Florida on YouTube tonight. My brother lives in St. Augustine, so say hi to Joe while you're down there. And that's the end of our roster. So at this time, we'll take additional check-ins from any repeater anywhere. One last round of check-ins. So this is your time. Also, any questions or comments? Net Control standing by. Floor is open.
This is WSAI 254 McDonough 45. I tried keying in earlier. I was having some radio issues, so I kind of missed the whole net, but I'll catch it on the YouTube channel. Just wanted to drop in and say hello.
Question from Atlanta 849.
Naturally.
27 in and out.
I don't know what that was. Some
WRKK 69, Chattanooga 84.
This is.
I don't have the Cade station.
I think it was Cade's Cove 27.
This is Chattanooga 100 WRNL 965. Bob and Ringgold just wanted to add to the count, in and out.
This is WSAF 252, Chat 46, William in Rossville, and in and out.
I think I double control on you. This is Atlanta 849 with a question.
I don't know if these two were in or in and out.
And Net Control, WRTS 814, 33, up here off the Cadence Cove repeater tonight, checking in and out.
All right. We had a double in there, and we had a rough copy in there, but let me go through what I have. We heard Atlanta 849 with a comment, so we'll come back to you here in a moment, Pamela. We heard McDonough 45. Kai and McDonough is in tonight. We think that we heard Cades Cove 27. RT and Elko is in tonight. We're not sure on that one. It was tough audio. We also heard Chattanooga 84 Jim and Hickson in tonight. We heard Chattanooga 100 Bob in Ringgold is in and out. We heard Chattanooga 46 William in Rossville is in and out. We heard Toccoa 33 Matthew in Pickens is in and out. We heard Atlanta 770 James in Ackworth checking in on YouTube. So I guess we didn't hear that one, but we've got that one.
We read that one.
And of course the comment by Pamela. So we'll come to that comment, but let me check and see if that Cades Cove 27 is a correct check-in. If I didn't call you and you tried to check in, then you're probably the one I'm looking for.
This is Cades Cove 78, Cades Cove RXQ 527, WRXQ 527.
Got him.
All right, there we go. Cades Cove 78, Charles in Knoxville, we've got you in the log. So we'll come to you here in just a moment. First, let's go to McDonough 45, Kai and McDonough. Am I saying your name right?
You are. I was having real bad radio problems earlier, so I kind of missed the entire conversation. Just got in the tail end here. So I don't really have any comments. I just wanted to check in, but I'll check the YouTube channel to catch up to speed with all you guys got.
Very good. We're talking about the web tools. Do you have any web tools that you use related to radio that you'd like to share?
Just using Chirp, that's it. No other real tools on the internet other than just your guys' website and just some YouTube here and there, but no real tools, no.
All right, Kai. Well, I guess YouTube is going to be your tool tonight. You can go back and catch the net and catch up on all the other suggestions that folks made along the way. So glad to have you in here, and glad you got your radio issues resolved. You're sounding pretty good now, so success. With that, we're going to continue on with Cades Cove 78, Charles in Knoxville. Charles, did you have any web tools you'd like to share with the group?
I sure did pick up something on several of the things. Checking them out. They sound good to check out. I've been looking for one that tells elevation, and that's I heard about that one tonight.
Yeah, Dallas 20 had a recommendation. I think it was called Elevation Finder or something simple like that. So I'm sure a Google search will bring that up and help to clarify that. And of course, you could go back and listen to the program again on YouTube for a little more clarity on that, in case I got it wrong. But yeah, good stuff, Charles. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Next on our list, we have Chattanooga 84, Jim in Hickson. Jim, did you have any web tools you'd like to share? We didn't say anything about the weather.
Well, I didn't miss most of the show, meeting, but there was a notable list for software, and I wondered if anybody brought up RT systems, because they have a lot of software for a lot of radio. Well, very well written.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard anybody mention RT Systems. And so RT Systems does have a range of programming software, and that's a great resource as well. So, yeah, great suggestion, Jim. Thanks for that.
Oh, real quick, Dallas 20 got back with us and said that the app is called My Elevation.
My Elevation. Well, there you go. All right.
Pretty simple.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, so that's a good one. So My Elevation is what you want to search for. All right, and with that, let's continue on. We have Chattanooga 100 Bob and Ringgold is in and out. Chattanooga 46 William in Rossville is, I wanted to say Roswell. That's the other William. Chattanooga 46 William in Rossville is in and out. Toccoa 33 Matthew in Pickens, South Carolina is in and out. We have a couple of YouTube entries here. We have Atlanta 770 James in Ackworth, and Atlanta 964 Richard in Duluth, both on Ackworth. Says he couldn't get in on Zello, but we've got you in here. And that'll bring us to Pamela, Atlanta 849 with your question. Go ahead, Pamela.
Guys, it's been a great net. I've got 2 pages of notes. Jonathan was talking about a website that I couldn't quite catch what that was. What's that.com or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Hey, what's that? Hold on, let me hey, what's that.com.
I believe you are referencing the website called heywhatsthat.com. And so it looks like that's a great way to find a number of interesting aspects of a map. So you can punch in various functionalities that you want to look for in a map, and then you can zoom in and out and be able to find different resources and features within that. Hey, what's that?
I think it also provides some line of sight capability as well to see if you've got good line of sight to hit the repeater or to make simplex contacts or whatever you're doing.
Ah, very good. So yeah, that could be a good tool for that. The SCADA, what is that website called?
SCADAcore.
SCADAcore has a line of sight tool on it too.
Theirs
So
is very good, yeah.
you can punch in your location and the location of a repeater, and you can determine whether or not you have any ridge lines or any geographic obstructions between you and the repeater, and determine whether or not you should have coverage to that repeater. So that's one thing I always recommend. Of course, we always have our for me it's flagship, primary repeater coverage. I can hit flagship reliably from here, but what if flagship's not available? What are my options? What other repeaters am I capable of hitting? Well, I can also hit ball ground from here.
Could probably hit Vanguard.
Sometimes I can hit. Well, the Vanguard repeater isn't always available. In fact, it's really only available when Vanguard is deployed at certain events. So,
like the Smith Family BBQ?
Like the Smith Family BBQ. Vanguard will be on the air for the Smith Family BBQ. So, if you don't have Vanguard programmed into your radio, particularly your HT, Vanguard will be up and running with the Vanguard repeater in play. So, you'll be able to have repeater coverage from the grounds at the Smith Family BBQ right off the Vanguard machine. So that'll be a lot of fun. And all right, did that cover your question, Pamela?
Guys, it sure did. And I had one more thing I just want to ask real quick. I sent a comment on because y'all wanted people to send a comment. I don't know if I did it right. It got through, so if you'll check that out.
We don't have any comments from Pamela. Not on YouTube anyway.
All right. I'm being told that we don't see any comments from Pamela on YouTube. So, but that's all right. Even after the program, if you go back and replay YouTube, making those comments. So there's two different worlds in which comments can be made. When you make a live comment during the program, that gets captured a little bit differently than if you come back after the fact and replay YouTube and make a comment then. So that's a valid way of showing interaction with the program too, is coming back after the program is no longer live and making comments. You may not get a response to that comment, and we can't respond necessarily to all the comments anyway, but we try to when they're live. But it does show YouTube that you engaged in that content, and it scores our channel based on those engagements. So like and subscribe. Those things help us a lot, and comments help us a lot, and we very much appreciate all those who have participated in the YouTube live stream tonight and all the comments that were made. But definitely come back after the fact and throw another comment in. And any of the other YouTube videos that you watch, let us know that you were there, and throw a comment in here and there. We very much appreciate that. Let me break.
70 chickens.
All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. But before we do, I just want to comment one more time that we're going to dedicate tonight's net to Jake, the family dog of Beckstead. Jake passed away this week, and so tonight's program is dedicated to Jake. We had a total of 70 check-ins this evening, including the YouTube check-ins and net control here. At this time, we're going to be returning the repeaters back to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. I want to say thanks to all of you for allowing us to serve as your net control this evening. Good night, everyone. My name is Justin. This is Atlanta 946 WQIR 514.
This is WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63, and my name is Mike.
And Atlanta 750, WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
We are North Georgia GMRS Network.
And we are clear.
Good night, everyone.